We're going to look now at LEIXIA'S Auto GIs, what they do, the properties of each, and how practical they are in actual play. LEIXIA has 5 Auto GIs, all of which do different things and serve different purposes. The first one we're going to look at is 4A plus B. 4A plus B, along with being a natural combo into a launcher and one of her best wall combo moves, has an Auto GI property at the start of it. It Auto GIs horizontal highs, horizontal mids, and vertical stab attacks. So for example, it'll GI Natsu's A plus B, which is a horizontal mid. It'll GI Natsu's AA, which is a horizontal high. And it'll GI Natsu's 66B, which is a vertical stab. Generally, this is the go-to Auto GI of choice because of the early impact frames, the fact that it launches and does massive damage when paired with a critical edge. When it comes to beating strings, it's one of the best Auto GIs that she has. It's good for interrupts if you know that your opponent likes the 2A to keep pressure going. And we're going to move on to the next one, which is 4-4B plus K. Now, this Auto GI is not very utilized in a lot of situations, but it does have a number of good upsides. The first one being, she takes a giant backstep when she does it. Now the Auto GI itself parries all vertical slashes and vertical kicks, body attacks as well. No stabs and no horizontals of any kind. And no lows. Any mid-vertical slash and any mid-vertical kick, it will GI. When it does GI something, the window is just as large as a regular guard impact, about 30 frames. The only difference is they can't re-GI your next attack at all. So you get free damage. A free 3B after every time you use 4-4B plus K's Auto GI and it successfully GI something. I also mentioned it does kicks as well. And the good thing about 4-4B plus K's Auto GI is it always leaves them on the ground. Clearly Natsu jumped there, but it drags her back to the ground so you can get your free launch. There's no air GI mechanics that cause her to fall to the ground and miss your punish damage. And the backstep, it's good for getting away at minor disadvantage, like after 2K on hit. It depends on the character, of course, but if your character has long-reaching vertical swipes, you'll get that free GI into 3B. Now, this Auto GI can beat certain strings as well, but it's a lot harder to pull off because of the button inputs. But this Auto GI becomes really important when you fight a character that does a lot of body attacks, and especially against a character like a Viola, where you can Auto GI the orb with this Auto GI by itself. Her 4-4B plus K doesn't seem to be quite as versatile as 4A plus B in terms of how you would set it up, but it has a number of uses, and the reward is pretty good. Now we'll move on to 2288B plus K, which is technically a stance of hers, because she's got 4 attacks that come out of it. A, which becomes 22A, B, which becomes 22B, K, which becomes 22K, and K slide A, which becomes 22K slide A. We went over that briefly in episode 1. Now, The thing about this auto GI is it auto GIs horizontal highs, horizontal mids, and vertical slash attacks. So it's almost like 4A plus B, except it doesn't do stabs. It does slash attacks instead. So where 4A plus B won't be able to GI Natsu's BB, 2-2B plus K can. As well as the AAs. So if your opponent's character's best mids are stab mids, this might not be the auto GI of choice to stop offense, but pretty much every character has an AA or a BB. So using this to stop their next attack is not always a bad idea. And the best thing about this is B out of the stance, you get a free launcher after that auto GI connects. You also get the free A version if you do the A, but for the most part you're going to want to be doing that. You're going to want to be doing 2-2B plus K into the B, as long as you're within range, because it's always a guaranteed launcher on a successful auto GI. Now the other thing is, this move has an auto step built into it because it's a 8-way run move. So this move can cover her sidestep. So for example, if Natsu here decides to go for 6-6A, knowing that you're going to step, you can use this auto GI to make your sidestep to shield you while you're doing your sidestep. All three of her auto GIs that I just went over can be good for shutting down offense. But the one weakness that all of these auto GIs share is that if your opponent goes low, there's no stopping. If they go low with a horizontal or a vertical stab or a kick, there's not really a whole lot she can do with her auto GIs. Now she also has an auto GI with her While Standing B Brave Edge, and as we went over in part 4, that has the same auto GI properties as her 4A plus B. It no longer GIs horizontal mids like it used to pre-patch, but it'll still GI special mids like 2As as well as horizontal highs and stabs. The last auto GI she has is her little wiggle parry thing here. This auto GI has the same properties as her 4-4B plus K, except this one will in fact GI stabs. This GIs every vertical in the game. Vertical slashes, vertical pokes, stabs, and vertical kicks as well. The only thing with this is, if you use it after 4-4B, it actually lengthens the recovery time of these moves. So if your opponent sidesteps, they get a much bigger punish than they would if you had just not gone into that auto GI. But you do this by doing either 6-6B4, 6-6BB4, 6-6BBB4, or by doing 4-4B4. Those moves have, if you press the 4 button at the end of them, she says yay, pulls her sword back, and can GI vertical attempts at punishment. Horizontals are still free. Delayed verticals are still free. So this is a very, very risky auto GI. If it does work, you get the same reward that you would off of 4-4B plus K. You get that wide window to get your free 3B into Super like I just showed you. And just like 4-4B plus K, that auto GI does not cause the air GI effect. It drags her opponent to the ground, and they can eat the full launcher as you just saw. That about wraps up her auto GIs, but since we're on the subject, let's now go into her air GI mechanic. Now everybody in the game has the ability to air GI. It's simply just doing a GI on a move that's a jumping attack. As you can see, there's a difference between that and the normal GI animation. The normal GI leaves them standing invulnerable. With an air GI, they can't re-GI any attacks. They're completely in a launched state. So you can do air juggles as a result of air GIs. But that's not the real secret behind this technique. For the most part, air GI is not what you want. If you get an air GI, it's because you weren't expecting your opponent to press buttons that resulted in tech jumps. And normally when that happens, you get much less damage than you would if they were on the ground. So what could possibly be the function for air GIs? Well, they guarantee a wall splat, albeit generally with scaled damage. If your opponent jumps at the edge, it's a free ring out. And something that a lot of people may not know is that certain jump attacks are more vulnerable to air GI than others. For example, a 9B does 25, and that's generally the standard for most jumping attacks. Her 9K, however, only does 12. Now, her 9K jumps a lot higher, so it has nothing to do with height. But what it does have to do with, generally, is how safe the move is and whether or not you can get a good punish off of it with Just Guard. So, for example, Wind Roll BBB for Natsu, if you Just Guard, nothing really happens. If you GI, BAM! Now, you didn't see that because it was really fast. But look at the number if you can. 65 damage. And that might go hand in hand with the amount of damage it causes you. I'm not sure. But that is a lot of damage. This is only for specific moves like Natsu's dive bomb attack. It works on Tira's updraft B. Generally moves that will give the other character advantage and are safe on block and don't grant you much when you Just Guard. If you try air GI, generally it will do a lot more damage than you might be expecting. The other thing about air GI is it sets up mix-ups on wake up. Since they can't tech, they're going to stand right up into 50-50s. You can also do grounded hits. You don't want to do 3B too early or you'll get an air hit. You want to wait till they fully hit the ground and you can tack on damage. Instant full crouch 3B. If you're fast enough, 3-3BB. If they try to roll, that is a huge amount of damage to lose off of one air GI and a grounded setup. Now go into training mode. Look at different characters. You know the characters with leaping guard breaks. Those are usually a dead giveaway. Characters who have jumping attacks that do a lot of guard crush damage and are safe and you seems like there's no way around them. Try air GIing and just see what you can find. You'd be surprised at how many moves in this game are very, very vulnerable to air GI. So that pretty much wraps that segment up. Using this information, hopefully people that are just mashing buttons or people that are doing predictable strings won't be as much of a problem for you anymore. This has been Zero Effect from 8wayrun.com. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you guys later.